at the beginning. So I'm the project leader of PJPJ in Tunisia, and I will talk about the practical side of the project, and I hope it will work for me as well. So, and this may be useful also if you wanted to participate in the project in Tunisia. The project is called Strengthening Youth Policy and Participation in Tunisia, and it is funded by the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. Our partner is the Ministry of Youth and Sports in Tunisia. We have a budget of 3 million, and the duration is 3 years. In Tunisia, we have the Vision Sectorielle de la Jeunesse, and we wanted to implement a part of this vision, whereby youth centers are places of participation in their neighborhoods. There are about 500 youth centers in Tunisia, but if you go back in history, you realize that they were controlled by the state and they were very strict. And well, during the dictatorship, these centers were not very well appreciated, and now there is a reorientation, and Germany is supporting this. So we have a project with different pillars, for example, the prevention of risk-related behaviors, and many other parts. The focus is now on prevention of risky behaviors, and we developed a concept and some pedagogical tools. But what about the risky behaviors? If you ask the ministry, they usually say, well, drugs, violence, extremist Islamism, illegal migration, and car racing. And these are the so-called conduite à risque. The concept that we are developing is the following. It describes the roles of youth centers in the prevention of risky behaviors. There are many state institutions that play a role, and we define our contribution exactly. Well, let me mention a couple of points in this concept. Well, the focus of this project is that risks are part of today's life. So we are living in a society which is overprotective, especially vis-a-vis women. And then risky behaviors often start at an acceptable or desirable level. Dangerous risk behaviors are not an evil to be demonized, but often the exceeding of a limit that was previously still tolerable. Education strengthens young people's ability to deal with risks. Let me mention an example. With one of the entertainer of this youth centers, I had a conversation, and so it is very risky sometimes to speak with an idol, and well, they said, well, it is too risky because you have to be careful. And so this was the initial point, and we said, no, young people have to be able to try something, and so risky behaviors are acceptable. And then the role of youth workers may sound trivial, but it is not. It had to be put in writing because they must be familiar with the types and causes of risk behaviors and prevention factors. They have to act as confidants to whom young people can turn without being devalued or judged. They have to engage in conversations with young people with a welcoming attitude, and they must be able to exchange experiences and personal training in this area. We also have a theoretical basis that we developed in the concept. Klaus Uhlmann says that risk behaviors are a reaction against requirement that could not be fulfilled. And there are 3 ways to react: externalisation, évasion, internalisation. So young people react with violence against others, and this is externalization. And so through violence, young people create the deceptive feeling that they have mastered a challenge. Then evasion, where young people distance themselves from unpleasant or poorly mastered developmental tasks, with escape behavior, unstable social relationships, addictive behavior. And internalization, young people turn the developmental pressure against themselves, and so we have withdrawal, isolation, disinterest, apathy, autoaggression, and suicide. And the tool follows this concept. It says in French, but let me explain. We have 2 main groups. So the A part are general exercises, and so we have to there we see the problems and the orientation of the group. And then in the B part, they have to take a path: externalization, evasion, internalization. So with externalization, which is violence in the broader sense of the word, and so you see how important it is to control reactions. Then evasion, so they have to reflect upon their addiction, find the right balance with their body. They have to be stable. And internalization, you have different categories. For example, going out in the darkness and reflect and create a connection with one's own ego, and create a connection with the external world. And you see that these are the different exercises that can be used. Well, and now this is it. I'm sure that you may have shared your exercises in the website, in the web, because we collected a lot of information. And this is good because it's great that many people were willing to share their information. Let me start with one exercise which is brand new. And let me start with an exercise which is a bit analytical. And the exercise is called The Sirens Sing for Odysseus. Well, we have to know that Ulysses traveled near Tunisia. And so for Tunisian young people, well, this is a story that they know very well. They like it. They also performed it. And this is a museum, the Museum Vado, and this is one of the greatest museums in Tunis. And well, there's a lot being displayed on this topic. If you don't know what the story is all about, let me describe it. So, Ulysses and his companions returned from the island of the dead. Ulysses and his companions, on their return from the island, well, passed by the Sirens, and Odysseus remembered Circe's words: "Be on your guard, you will encounter sirens. They will try to lure you. You must not follow their song, or you will be smashed by stones. You can only hear the siren song on one condition: your companions must cover their ears with walks, and they must tie you to the mast of the boat." They followed the advice. Odysseus listened to the melancholy song of the sirens. The sirens beckoned Odysseus. "Come here, Odysseus, stop your boat and join us." Odysseus asked his companions to untie him so that he could approach the sirens, but the companions pulled his bonds even tighter and inched away from the sirens. The young people sing the song of the Odysseus. They know the story, and they say, okay, these ancient stories are still up to date. And so this situation is considered as universally valid. And for this reason, let's have a look at your story with the sirens. And the young people had to fill out this questionnaire and this chart with the boat, with the different stages of their life. What about the stones? What about the walks? And And then they had to write about their issues. And these are the stones that Odysseus had to avoid. And then the sirens, your temptations. And these are, for example, the typical attitudes, well, crying, devaluation, or uncontrolled drug abuse, eating attitudes, or diseases without any particular explanations, or lesions, injuries. Okay, and then what about your walks? What about your master? What helps you resist temptations? What can allow you to overcome the temptations? And young people described their story, and this is how it is written down. They said, well, this is a picture of two Tunisian young people who are part of the project now. But let me go on. Well, here, well, control one's own reaction. Well, in this part of the chart, we organized another exercise, which is called the postman rings. How does it work? We have 4 packets. So the postman rings and says, I have a package for you, but I cannot find the right address. So what cannot be definitely your package? And and these are the items like, well, stress and suffering, criticism and humiliation, uselessness and insignificance, rejection and abandonment. And the postman gives the package that people do not want to receive. The young people are divided into groups, and well, and this is what they usually tend to avoid in life, and this is, and for this reason they developed a strength. So if you are avoiding, for example, uselessness, you tend to have as a strength the acceptance of responsibility or ambition, or stress and suffering. They are the specialists in terms of comfort, in terms of vision, and also rejection. Well, these are people who tend to please others and tend to be extremely autonomous. And so, well, they established a dialogue between and among the different groups. They asked questions and so, well, they asked questions, and among them, young people could explain themselves and could find the right answers. And these are all tricks to reflect upon oneself that are actually very important. But let me go quickly to the following exercise. Let me present the domino game, and this is in the group evasion. And the idea is to follow things rather than pursuing things, rather than going away. So we have the domino modules, and so the young people play in groups of 3 and 4. They have to lay a railway track with dominoes between 2 towns, but well, there's no way they can do it with the 15 dominoes they receive each. And so they have to change the strategy. There are 3 ways you can cooperate. So whoever connects to the track of another player gets double the number of dominoes, or you can draw. And innovation. So any new rule can be applied if all players agree. And this was really fun because they exchanged a lot on different topics that were on the table. Or, for example, why are you competing? There's no one had to win. So each one is a winner. Everyone who arrives is a winner. So the question was, how do I make progress without comparing myself too much with others? Or which strategy led to which result in which group? Or who avoided establishing a new rule and why? Which situation in your life have already required a change in strategy? And so we also have a practical implication in this exercise. I have another exercise for internalization, people and young people who tend to withdraw. And let me explain to you the exercise of the human scale. And so it is about gaining self-effectiveness. We have different weights, and on the weights there are things that are maybe positive or negative for self-efficacy. We have, for example, good ideas, nature, constructive feedback, sport and networking, smiling, and other weights where the conflicts, criticism, high expectations, injustice, devaluations, passivity, boredom. And then, so the entertainer has to explain the strategy, and the idea is to place the different weights on one of the sides of the body in order to keep a balance. So you have to see which direction the body takes, and we have two directions. Well, one direction is I approach difficult situations with confidence because I seek success, and the other direction is I avoid difficult situations because I'm afraid of failure. And well, the young people decide for 5 weights on which side they should be hung. The scales tilt towards avoiding failure. And so what can we do in order to find the right balance? Well, they had different ideas. We'll add other weights, take off weights, resist with all one's might and power. And with this experience, we can also transfer this into practical life. And now I have a young person. Her name is Yasmin. This is a peer-to-peer approach. We trained an entertainer, but also a young person who does good things when she doesn't work as an entertainer. And so, well, she can express her own feelings, but you have to provide a framework because there is a culture of seniority that cannot be overcome. Yasmin is a jeune leader, a peer, and she goes to the youth center very often, and she can really she has a great role to play. And she said, "Hello, my name is Yasmin Godban, and I'm going to tell you about the training on prevention of risk behavior in adolescence that I attended at the center. The training lasted 3 days, and we went through 3 topics: evasion, internalization, and externalization. Each topic included several exercises, so we learned how to lead these exercises and how to involve the young people in the game. Through these exercises, we can discover a lot about the young people and their personality. The exercises help the young people to develop, especially if you deepen the reflection phase and if you guide them positively." So Yasmin got the point. And with this, I thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward with your discussion. And in the next phase, we will also have some contributions and feedbacks on the impulse. Thank you very much.